Right, so welcome to the first video on our channel. We're going to be looking at various different classic cars and machinery and doing some restoration work on them. So this is the first example of a vehicle that we've got, which is going to be used fairly soon for a classic car run. It's a 1972 Triumph 1500 front wheel drive. It's in pretty good condition with regards to the body, but it does have some running issues. It loses power once it's warmed up, and it's got quite a lot of oil appearing down the left-hand rear corner of the block, which is a common area to find oil leaks and head gasket failure on this particular engine.
So we're going to disconnect the battery, and yes, I know I shouldn't be using a ratchet, but don't know what else to use because we haven't got anything else, and that is now the battery disconnected.
So we're starting to the work to remove the cylinder head now, and the first job to do is to take the alternator off of the engine.
That wire needs to get out of the way so I don't crimp it or anything like that. And then let's loosen
The throttle cable and the choke cable disconnected, and I've also disconnected the brake servo and the pipe that goes from the rocker cover back to the carburetor. The fuel lines are also disconnected, so I should be able to pull the airbox off now and very quickly remove the carburetor. Looking at the way this is designed, it shouldn't be too difficult to remove the whole of the carburetor and inlet manifold assembly as one unit.
How am I going to get around this? Well, first of all, let's disconnect. You can disconnect the terminals, can't you?
Yeah, so you'll need to disconnect the terminals in order to remove the alternator from the car.
It's one terminal. So this one. This one's going to be a bit hard.
So the coolant on this vehicle is absolutely disgusting, covered in full of rust and other sort of nasty materials. Somewhere in here, now I can see it. So James is just taking the bottom pipe off now, and then most of the coolant should come out and splash me quite nicely in the face.
We need to bring it back. Have the pot, please. Should we just put it there for now? No,
it might fall off.
I've put it on the rubber here.
Yeah. Which ones are you undoing?
I'm doing one top, one bottom. And then it's...
Oh no, that's because I put the wrong size spanner out.
I think the bottom ones are different because the 11's not going on it.
Well, this car is Imperial, so all the fitments should be in using AF. Metric spanner sizes are not really ideal. So when we lift the radiator out, we're going to need to be very careful of the fan.
Yeah, it's quite close.
It would be... We could remove the fan first, I suppose. But now that we've taken the belt off, that'll be a little bit of a challenge. So if we can remove the fan intact with the water pump,
Mm.
we won't have to worry about trying to hold that fan pulley still. So we're taking the radiator off so that it doesn't get damaged whilst we're removing things like the water pump and eventually when we get to the cylinder head itself. Also because the coolant in this was so nasty, and I'm intending to do a full flush, rad flush and heater matrix flush on the car as well. Definitely important considering this vehicle is going to be driving all the way around the perimeter of Wales in a few weeks' time in order to raise money for charity. And at the moment, the furthest I've managed to drive it is about 4 miles, and then it becomes almost undrivable.
You're using a 13mm spanner.
11.
What, it's 11 on
Yeah. Ow! Fiddle.
fiddlesticks.
I did not want to do what I just did. I just dropped the bolt into the coolant drainer, which I am probably going to regret, especially as now I can't see where I've dropped my spanner.
Oh no.
There's the spanner. At least I found the spanner, even if I can't find the coolant drain. I can't find the bolt I just dropped. So when I drain out that thing, I'm going to have to make sure that I find that bolt again.
And you just dropped it.
Yeah, I'm doing a good job of dropping my tools.
Yes.
So once you get down to the last bolt, James,
Yeah.
just leave it in a couple of threads so that we take them out at the same time. Otherwise the radiator is then going to drop.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get it undone, to be honest with you, Paul.
So that should allow us to open the bonnet just wide enough to bring the radiator out vertically.
There we go.
Then I can put that pin back through again so that the bonnet doesn't blow away with wind. Down a bit, down a bit. Good.
Okay.
Yep, that's good there. Now I will replace that cotter pin, but for the moment, because I'm going to have to take it out again, I'm just going to put this one back through. So radiator is now out. Okay, so water pump is held on by, oh, they're a bit rusty. That thermostat halving bolts, they are going to be fun.
Way, we like fun on this channel.
I'm not sure that fun is quite the right word there.
For faulty.
Yep.
What was that? Nah.
Right, so I can get stop the recording for the moment.
And these are now undone. Hold off now.
Cats up.
Oh, there we go.
So there are 4 clamping screws on the top, and then 2 that are really awkward to get to from the bottom, and it seems to have come off with relative ease. So all that's left on this side of the engine now is to remove this exhaust manifold, which somebody has very nicely fitted a 4-into-1 tubular exhaust on it. So now that I've got the exhaust off, I can see quite clearly where the leak had been coming from. As you can see, if you look there at the manifold gasket, it's blown on exhaust port number 3. Okay, now the rocker shaft is off, I can remove the push rods. Now on this engine, they are literally just solid bits of steel. On some engines you have the oil feeding up through the push rods. It's still fairly important to make sure that they stay in the same order. So the trick I'm using is a fairly well known one. It's using a piece of cardboard, and I'm going to put each push rod through the card as I go. I should have made those holes bigger. And by doing that, they will keep in the correct order. So unlike you have with the earlier Spitfire engine, this one doesn't have any of the earlier 1147 engines have got separate tubes for the push rods.
Yeah.
And with the later engine like this 1500, they are cast. The castings are cast into the block, and you don't have the issues with oil leaking from push rod tubes in the head, which was an issue with the earlier engines.
So,
are you going to improve them over the years?
Are you going to number that as well, or?
Yeah, I will do. But I have actually put a number onto the paper, onto the card, so I know that it's coming this side from the engine. And what I'll do is I'll look back at the video and I can see which way round the card is. Okay, so I've got to go the opposite of the tightening sequence, which on this is from the inside out, and it is a 10-stud engine, so I'm starting on this side, and this would be the first one that I start with. Like I did with the earlier ones, I'm only going to do them sort of half a turn at a time as I undo them. Okay, so that was 10, 9, 5, 4, 2, 1. Right, that's all of them loose, which means I can now unwind them all.